Did you know that the Star Spangled Banner was originally written as a poem titled The Defense of Fort McHenry? It's a true story. 198 years ago, a young lawyer named Francis Scott Key put pen to paper and came up with what is now America's national anthem. The poem and its author both have a pretty interesting backstory. Let's go back in time to the year 1814 during the War of 1812. America had declared war on Great Britain over trade disagreements. I'll set the scene. British troops have attacked Washington, D.C. They burned down the White House, the Capitol, and the Library of Congress, which is totally not cool. Then the British turned their sights to the nearby port of Baltimore. During the conflict, respected Maryland physician William Beans, a friend of Francis Scott Key's, was captured. The doc was being held prisoner on a British ship just offshore. Well, Key rushed to Baltimore to help. He actually tracked down the ship and somehow managed to negotiate for the freedom of his good friend. But there was a catch, a big catch. Key and the doctor would not be allowed to leave the ship until after the Brits had attacked their target, Fort McHenry. Kept under guards by the King's soldiers, Key helplessly watched the Battle of Baltimore unfold before him. Through the smoke and gunfire, he could see a huge American flag flying over the fort. The sight of that lone flag, that Star Spangled Banner, inspired Key's now famous words. The rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. That was until the fighting and the darkness became too intense. Then all he could do was hope and pray for the best. I mean, imagine with me, you're on this boat, right? And the fate of perhaps America might be determined by whether or not that flag was flying come morning. Well, when daybreak came, or as Key described it, dawn's early light, the flag still waved. Fort McHenry had fought off the British attack. The Brits were retreating. Francis Scott Key's poem was reprinted in a bunch of newspapers and eventually set to music. Soon, people began referring to it as the Star Spangled Banner. In 1916, President Woodrow Wilson declared the song be played at all official events. It was adopted as the national anthem on March 3rd, 1931. Today, that actual flag that flew triumphantly over Fort McHenry during the Battle of Baltimore almost 200 years ago is on display at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. It remains one of our nation's greatest treasures.